Who are you? What are you doing here?
So I seem to be in Cardigan Bay, sitting with a good friend of mine, Dave Hyatt, who was the founder of the Do Lectures and also founder of Hyatt Denim. And we're just going to have a little chat.
So I think a lot of people now aren't asking what if, they're asking how. And they're saying, how can we design and create better societies, better functioning organisations, and more vibrant and relevant economies to the world we live in today, all at the same time.
In order to improve human existence. That itself could be beautiful.
I agree. And I think, again, it's very important perhaps just to reflect on that idea that just because something new is coming into the world, and it quite clearly is, it's not necessarily coming with bad as a sort of a natural way. And it's a question of then a philosophical framework in terms of how or what is the purpose that we would like something to, work towards. It's a bit like, how do you code beauty? I mean, it's a question that I sort of love to ask, and maybe there's obviously no one definite answer, but I think it's a very intriguing question to pursue.
Now, when I talk to people in MBA schools or businessmen, organisations, and I talk about beauty, they kind of look at you and furrow their eyebrows a little bit. What's he talking about beauty? That's for other things, that's ephemeral. But I said, I'm 50 years of age and I've worked with many big organisations, and I will say that when people have ugly thoughts, only ugly deeds happen. Whereas actually to create things of enduring beauty takes a lot of hard work. Beautifully designed organisations, beautifully designed buildings, the capacity to imagine and create something that does not exist and labour at it until you can bring it into the world, that's where beauty resides. You go outside and you look at Mother Nature and tell me whether she's ugly. She's a very beautiful thing. And so beauty is a very, very important thing to strive for.
Better, much better, does not necessarily have to cost the earth. And therefore that's about a design challenge. How we design organisations in the future, how they make their money, how they redistribute knowledge and wealth, and how they operate are fundamentally different. And so in fact what I think really upsets me at the moment is when we look at so much sort of cutting, even if you say look at something like the NHS.
National Health Service.
The National Health Service in Britain. We could actually be thinking about a very different way in terms of how we design that. So actually we build and design more sustaining, more agile, leaner running organisations, but that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done on the cheap. It's about the configuration of organisations, people, how people actually co-create stuff together, how they are working together, how they're sharing knowledge and information, as opposed to in the old industrial world is I create something and I do it to you.
So what advice would you give for picking an area to focus on?
Well, I think you have to follow your heart. And I think that I know it sounds terrible for me, sort of when I'm introduced to saying I've designed everything from books to businesses, but the reality is that's been my life. I was trained as a typographer, graphic designer. I've worked with some great contemporary artists, working on their work with them and bringing those things to life. And then sort of later in my career, I ended up sort of working with entrepreneurs and startups in terms of actually thinking about the design of their business. What would it look like? And, so I just followed my heart. I could have stayed as a typographer and a graphic designer, but for whatever reason, there were other questions that I wanted to answer. And maybe my answer to you would be, you just have to follow your instinct, which is where does the biggest question lead you to,